Hey everybody, it's Josh. I want to talk about a verse from Jeremiah 29:13 in particular. It says, "When you seek me, you will find me. When you seek me with all of your heart." A lot of people I've talked to, I'm drawn to the lost, to the forgotten, to the confused, to the scared. The reason I am drawn to you and you were drawn to me is because I've been through that crucible before. I've been through it all. I haven't suffered as much as some people, true. It's not a contest by any means, and it's not one I'd want to win if it was. But I've suffered immensely, and it was relentless for 13 years. And really before that, I was just confused. Just kind of lost in life, just kind of going through the motions. You know, bad things would happen and they would get to me more than they should have because I had no foundation. No desire even anymore to seek Christ because I had already gotten to the point where I thought, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to have this career and provide for my family, and that's pretty much it. I was never given guidance by God because I was supposed to go through pure hell. Let's see if these gnats will give me a break here, but I have the bug spray on. I can't live without it. Not out here in the summers in North Carolina. But I think that we're all hypocrites. And this is what gives Christians a bad name. If you think about all the anger, all of the rage, especially from the atheists, and I know there are some that watch my channel because they're just waiting for me to say something that they can, I guess, report or something. They despise Christians because Christians believe that we should be better and not worship ourselves. We think that there is a moral base that we received from God. They believe that the morals are inherently evolutionary. And whatever they think is right is the word. But you know what? Many Christians might say differently, but they live this way. And I won't say anger, but my frustration is more for the Christians who act this way while openly judging others. I mean, why do you think that, first of all, Christianity is attacked, especially in the United States, because it has been that way. People have used the guise of Christianity to oppress people. Even some of the slaveholders pretended they were Christians. And it was not until true Christians finally rose up with the abolitionists did we have the Civil War and free the slaves. But we still have so many problems in this country. And now it is Christians who are being oppressed. Christians who are being silenced. You see symbols of all kinds of identity groups on every internet page you open up, Amazon, Google, whatever. You'll never see a cross on there because that is hurtful to people. The idea of love is hurtful to people because love does not mean, oh, because we love you doesn't mean we want you to just go out and do everything you want to do. We have seen firsthand, most of us who've truly been saved, seen firsthand how any kind of selfish, sinful lifestyles, which any kind of lifestyle away from God is pure hell. So why would we want people to live in pure hell? So what does it mean, though? Because there's nothing we can do about people who have already been oppressive or act that way now, or the judgmental churches who won't let certain people even enter their doors. And I get it. I've already made my stand on the churches should be open to everyone, but you should not go in there and try to change the churches with some sort of agenda. Again, the very least Christians are supposed to do is deny yourself and take up the cross daily and make Christ your only identity. But I want to go back to, what does it mean to seek with all of your heart? So many people I've talked to, they seek in desperation. And I sought in desperation for so long. They seek in desperation because they are desperate people. They are so wrapped up in their darkness that they just want to do anything they can to escape. Anything at all. And it wasn't until that desperation was gone for me, I said, well, Lord, I cannot do this by myself anymore. And none of us can. I said, I cannot do this by myself. I've tried it my way for so long, and it was going fine for a while. Fine, at least on paper, I guess. It was going fine for a while. I was having fun. I was, drinking myself silly on the weekends and, on working all week, working sometimes 80, 100-hour weeks, and just putting in the time, working for the future, working, hoping I could find something better along the way. There was sadness in that because I was doing something I didn't want to do. But that's the thing that many of us, it just gets us down. We're stuck in this job and we don't want it. Well, if you can find something better, then do it. But we're so wrapped up in following our passions and they always say, follow your heart. Don't follow your heart. Don't follow your dreams, let your dreams follow you, is one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard. You will find a way to, if you have a talent, if you want to be an artist, for, let's say, graphic designer, you will find a way to fit this into your life. But it has to be on God's terms. When we're young, when I was in my mid-20s to late 20s, I was strong enough to swim against the current of life. And I see so many who were, the same age or older, older than me now, still swimming against the currents of life. And to tell you the truth, I was trying to do that all through my 30s and even into my 40s, 44 now. I was trying to make my own way. I said, well, my main talent is, I had two main talents that were obvious. I was very strong and definitely not going to be an athlete after I have 4 back surgeries, so that was out. And I was a pretty good creative writer. I wouldn't say a great writer. I had a passion for it. I had these stories I wanted to tell, but I just was never truly inspired for a long period of time. I would get inspired about little bits of my story. I have probably close to 2,000 pages of the book I was writing. I was writing a whole series. And I want to maybe one day go back and actually finish that, at least a few of the books in that series. But that's not what God drew me to now. God's drawing me to you. I want to do this. Talk to you. Help people who are stuck in that hell. There is no greater purpose in life to me. And to understand that purpose, I had to go through that hell. I wouldn't have had any way to relate to you, and you wouldn't have been able to relate to me if I would have never gone through that. I would guarantee you I'd never be here talking to you right now. Any kind of public speaking, even on camera, was the last thing I wanted to do. The camera would come on, and I would literally forget everything I was going to say. Everything. That's the way it was when I was in front of people too. I was so nervous. There were times a long time ago when I had to speak in front of town hall because I was trying to get a park built back behind the house, which I was successful in doing. But I had to get my doctor to prescribe me like an anti-anxiety medication just to go up there. And now I don't have that fear, really. Sure, I'll get a little nervous, I guess, if I'm in front of too many people. I guess it's just old habits, but I just feel like myself when I am doing what God guided me to do. So stop trying to swim against these currents. You are young and you might be strong enough, but you will tire. And that river, those currents never stop. And I understand there might be treacherous rapids and jagged rocks downstream, so you're trying to swim upstream as hard and as fast as you can. But if you put your faith completely in God, He will guide you safely down even the most treacherous, even the most terrifying streams, to that vast ocean where we all are one with Him. It is something that is just part of human nature. It is why, the studies of happiness by age, I used to talk about it all the time, the happiness curve, how when we're about 18, we were at our happiest, and then it just kind of sloped down. And then we hit rock bottom anywhere from late 30s to mid 50s. And then it kind of just skidded along the bottom as we're going through that midlife crisis. All of our parents are dying off. All of our, children are growing up, or we haven't had children and we're wondering what's going to become of us. And it is existential problem after existential crisis. And it is terrifying because we are in a society where we don't get taught how to be men and women. We're still coddled little children. I'm no different. Again, I'm not judging. I'm just telling you how it is. If the grid was attacked tomorrow, how many of us would be able to survive? I know my buddy Jesse out there would be able to survive. I know a couple people who would really be able to thrive, actually. But when you start getting those roaming gangs of angry, hungry people, then things start to change a little bit. You can go hunt and gather all you want, or have preparation food all you want. Somebody comes with bigger guns or more guns and tries to steal them from you. Not going to be good. The world will devolve quickly. I urge you all to not be scared about that, but to be prepared for it. That's just a little aside. Always use the good times. As I said, you enjoy them. Actually, I'll say this. Don't use the good times for this. Use the dull times to prepare. When you're bored, when you finally have nothing to do, which isn't often in my house. I've been so busy. I can barely talk on the phone to anyone. I'll send texts here and there. I'll come out and do my videos because this is my time to come and worship God, talk to God. And I ask him to work through me when I'm doing these videos. And unless my faith is wavering, he does. He tells me what I need to know to help you all, to help myself. I am in this journey with you in these battles. It is an endless war, and we are chosen, we are called, drafted if you will, but willfully going to be warriors of peace. The world gets terrifying. We need be peaceful more than ever. And that does not mean you don't defend yourself. That does not mean you never use violence. As I said in a video, I think it was yesterday or the day before, Christ said he did not come to this world to bring peace. He came as a sword, and families would be turned against each other. I know it's happened in my family. I know there are many who follow their selfishness. They follow their, that's pretty much what it is, their victimhood identity. Too many of us now are playing the victim. I did it. Again, I'm telling you things that I know because I've been through them. I felt sorry for myself for so long. And I felt justified in it because so many bad things were happening to me. When you say, I hate the Christian churches because they're hypocrites, I get it. Don't go to a church then. Just follow Christ's calling wherever he takes you. He calls me to a church every now and then, and I know it's good for my wife and my children. But the pastor there did a long sermon about it the other day, how most of us in that room listening to his sermon, we think we know Christ. We claim we do. But when we got to the afterlife, God would look at us and say, who are you? I know of you, but you never bothered to know me. You never bothered to seek me with all your heart, without desperation, without any kind of ego, any kind of desire, except for to know God, to have an intimate relationship with God. But how do we, when we're in our desperate moments, when the world is crumbling around us, as so many of you I know is happening to, and it feels like, how do we get rid of that desperation? How do we go into that calmer state of seeking and patience? It has to be like a trout fisherman. They have to slowly wade through the water. They have to find the little pools where the trout may be. They have to find the right fly, and they have to be patient. Why do you think that Christ went to fishermen first? Why do you think he went to Peter? Simon Peter? Because fishermen understand. They don't get frustrated when they come in with no catch. Yeah, they might be disappointed, but they're not in desperation until their world is crashing in around them. And it's very likely Peter's was. It's very likely that the Romans were cracking down so hard on them to pay their taxes, and they just could not catch enough fish with all the other fishermen around to just keep up with it. And so desperation may have started setting in. But fishermen, outside of those times of desperation, they understand the need for patience. They understand the need to try to seek in different ways. Seek God. I've told you the way I seek God, and I can tell you again if you need to. To me, you have to be in absolute solitude. Christ said, go into the room and shut the door behind you. He showed us, go into nature. I've told you I feel closest to God when I'm around these trees and these animals and the wind and the water. I can feel him with me, and you have to be able to feel his presence there. Even if you think he's not going to talk to you, don't even concern yourself with that. You introduce yourself to him. He already knows you. He already knows what you're going to say. He already knows when he's going to reveal himself to you if you take enough time to actually seek him. He won't always make it easy. It's not supposed to be easy. I know you want it to be easy. To all of you who say, I've been desperately seeking him for so long, and there's your problem. You've been desperately seeking him. You need to surrender. You need to absolutely deny yourself. Trust in him before he even makes himself known to you. You can look for the signs and visions everywhere, but not everybody sees them. Not everybody has that sense to see them, and that doesn't make you any more or any less than anyone else. You are different. You are made the way you were for a reason. You will find him in the way you do for a reason. Everything in your life has a meaning and a purpose and a reason. So please do not give up. Please stop the desperation. Find your calm place. Find your happy place. It should not be a burden. It should be, think of it as a therapy session, but with a therapist that you trust with even your darkest secrets, because God knows them. God knows if you're ashamed of them. And for those of you Christians who are Christian in name only, you have to understand that there is peace only in knowing God. Only in that intimate relationship with him. I understand every single one of us are hypocrites. Every single one of us judge other people and do just awful things ourselves. There's definitely degrees to each what we all do. And there is a reason we have those feelings, because there's a reason we profile certain people. If you didn't, you would not know who to stay away from and who to go towards. But that old way of thinking needs to completely just be erased from you when it comes to God. You are not better or worse than anyone. You are a chosen child of God. You don't have to pretend to be that way, or you don't have to, I guess many Christians want to have that status. I see it in a lot of politicians. Oh, I'm a hardcore Christian. And then they go out and make legislation that is as anti-Christian as you can possibly get. I know Christians who go out and just get completely hammered every weekend, and they don't have any remorse for it. And I'm not saying that you can't go have a good time sometimes. I'm not saying that at all. That's the kind of thing that drives Christians away. If you don't have a problem with alcohol and you're not using it to escape, if you're using certain types of drugs as a therapeutic way, if you're responsible and you can use moderation, there's absolutely nothing wrong with almost anything. They are tools for us to use, for good or for bad. Tools can be for building, tools can be for destruction. You have to open your heart completely. Whenever you go into your happy place, your meditative place, whether it's in your house, in your room alone, or in the woods alone, or in a church. Now, for me, in a church is a good place to worship, I guess, but not to connect with God. Like I said, even Christ said it. You need to be alone because it is a private relationship. Now, once you have that relationship established, once you get to know God, once you let him start guiding you in life, then he will send you out into the community, into the world. I learned more than I probably did my entire life in this past year and a half since God saved me. As I've mentioned many times before, I had wisdom in the course of an hour and a half. I suddenly had wisdom I had never learned. Now, again, there are people in my comments especially who don't believe me, who don't think I'm saved, and I don't care. You can believe whatever you want. Atheists and non-believers are people of other faiths that think your faith is awful. They will always come at you because they think that what they know is gospel. I understood, as I think it was Socrates said, or Plato maybe, true wisdom is knowing you know nothing. I encourage you to be open. When I talked about going into the woods to find messages from God, going in, I'll say it again briefly, go in without a pet, without anyone else, because if you have anyone else there or any pet there, your focus is not going to be on God. It has to be 100% on God. You talk about what is troubling you the most. Don't ask him for material things. Just ask him for wisdom and guidance. Let him heal you spiritually. He may heal you in other ways too. I know spiritually and mentally, I have been almost completely healed. And the process is still ongoing. But I say to go into the woods, and I say to let your eyes be drawn to whatever they are drawn to. Pretend you're a child exploring a new land. And this is after you've already told God everything you need to tell him. Then you look for his answers in whispers, not whirlwinds. Find those whispers and how he's talking to you. I have seen, I'll give you an example. Over the last 2 weeks, I have seen turtles almost every single day. I've seen almost every type of turtle that lives around here. The other day I saw a snapping turtle that was far. I guess she was going to lay eggs, maybe. I'm not sure. My dog almost got bit in the lip by one. He would have lost his lip, man. He would. But I tried to find, biblically or spiritually what turtles are a sign of. And that wisdom and that patience were the main thing. Those are the biggest virtues. Patience is key because we want right now. It's not happening right now. We throw a fit like a little baby. They say, you take control of your life. Don't let life take control of you. Let God guide you. You're already going where He needs you to go anyway, so why fight it? Why swim against the current when all it's going to do is just make you so tired that you can barely do a thing? Let Him take you to all these little islands, all these little places that you need to go. It's mandatory you go there. And be at peace wherever you are. I don't care if you're winding up in jail or He takes you to a resort in the Bahamas. You are there because He has a reason for you. There's a lesson in it. There's a teaching moment in everything in life. If you don't learn it, you're going to learn it a harsher way. And it's going to get harsher and harsher. But if you do learn it, if you learn to embrace that peace of God is guiding me, I go where the wind blows, that divine wind. You're living in the present, not in a hedonistic way. You're living in the present in a holy way. And be at peace. Don't worry about what random idiots on the internet say. Don't worry what anybody tells you. If they tell you you're doing something wrong, of course that could be a teaching moment too. So take it into consideration. But usually not on the internet though. Just be at peace as much as you can. I know it's hard in turbulent times. I know it. But it is possible. This is the only way where you'll have pain in life without suffering. It's the only way that you will ever be free. It sounds weird, because it sounds like, according to atheists again, and non-believers, that we are enslaved and we are just doing what the spaghetti monster in the sky says and blah, blah, blah. No. They don't know the freedom. They don't know the peace of the unconditional love. And it transcends every emotion, every desire. We don't know love until we know God's love. We don't even have a clue. You can believe me or not. It is all up to you. You can trust God or not. I'm telling you from somebody with experience, it is more than a life changer. It is the beginning of a new life that is beautiful. It is magnificent. Okay, everybody. That's all for now. God bless.